So we're going to get started. Lynn's going to come up and introduce our guest speaker today. We here at my office have a sponsor coming in as well. We'll introduce her towards the end, and then we're going to hang out here in person. Well, you guys, we do these every week. If you can come in here in person, it's pretty awesome because when we're done, we're going to do some Q&A, and then we're going to say goodbye to you guys and hang and shut off the Zoom. And we're still going to be here collaborating, networking, good relationships are made. This is where it's at. Next time, if you can come in person, come. So my wife, Lynn, is going to come up here and get us rocking.
Hey, everybody. I am introducing Ashlee. Ashlee is with Veritas, and we're super excited to have her here because not only is she an amazing lender that is totally by your side throughout the whole process and fights hard for you, but she's also an investor too. And if you know anything about Jeff and I and our family, we built a fortune off investing in real estate. And so we're super passionate about somebody that actually, you know, walks the walk, you know, and invest in what she's helping people invest in themselves. And so she is a rock star, and we're super excited to have her here. Some of the programs that she talked to me about earlier today are very unique. And those of you that want to invest or have people that invest, you're gonna be super excited that you're on this call. I feel bad for everybody that's missing it because she's giving us some really good information today. It's new. Ashlee,
Thank
you.
How do I go to my?
Oh, sorry, the screen share. That's my job. Boom.
Thank
So
you.
you can just scroll with the accents.
Good morning, everyone. Like she said, my name is Ashlee Shipley. And this class is more for like beginning investing. So I'm 33 and I own 7 properties in 2 different states. And I am so jealous that you get to learn from my mistakes and I had to be the one to go make them. So there are things that I wish I would have done different. There's financing I wish I would have done different. And that's where this education piece comes from. So of those 7 homes, I no longer pay for any housing expenses, which is freaking awesome. So mortgages, utilities, all of the things are covered through other people's money and rent. And I don't think I'm like that cool. Like I'm not some crazy like bazillionaire. So I think it's just the strategies that you use and the people that you know. So I hope you can take something from this. But before I start, this just happened. So 2 days ago, my favorite grant, the LIFT grant, reached out to me and they're launching a new program. And this is, they're only giving it to certain lenders and I was one of them. So it's $22,000 for anywhere in Salt Lake County, fully forgiven in 5 years.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's South Jordan, that's Sandy, that's Harriman. Like I responded in all caps and was like, no way. So like South Jordan. And she was just like, you're a lot, but yes. So there are guidelines to meet for that, but I know them like the back of my hand because I always love using other people's money and investment strategies. So if I was a first-time home buyer, I would totally be using that. So let's get into this really quick. So you want to buy an investment property. That's cool. So everyone goes straight to option 1, which is just purchasing as an investor. And they're like, you need 20%. Actually, the minimum is 15. So your rate is going to be higher and you will have to deal with mortgage insurance, either getting rid of it or having it monthly, but you completely can qualify with that much money down. The numbers didn't make sense. And then interest rates best at 25%. And this is a great option once you have some homes under your belt. So we're going to get into house hacking a little bit later, but this is what I would see as like last option. The middle one's my favorite. So turning a primary residence into an investment property. When you buy a primary home, you get the best of the best. You get the best rate, you get the best down payment, you get the best guidelines that are the stretchiest and the nicest. The debt to income ratios are a little bit more fudgeable, which is a new word. But you need to live there for 1 year. So when you do a primary purchase, you need to put a year between them or else you're going to light up fraud reports like a Christmas tree. So the underwriter is going to look at you and be like, what you doing? Totally able to do this in 6 months to a year. You just have to have a really good reason. So when you buy a home, I say plan there 1 to 2 years. in the market, if you bought in 2020, I'm like, get the heck out. You have enough equity, like start making that work. But in 2016, I was doing the same spiel, and I'm like 2 years, like 2 years per house. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna move. And you can do that. You don't touch the existing home at all. So if you have a 3% interest rate on your primary house that you bought, perfect. You move into the new one, you get a lease on the old one, and I can use that lease as income to offset the existing mortgage. So you can qualify just like you're a brand new home buyer. And you can continue to do that until you have 10. So you can finance 10 properties. Then last, I just did this. I bought a vacation property, a second home. So this is freaking sweet. It needs to make sense, and you need to actually have to use it. So the homeowner, the purchaser needs to plan to use it for part of the year. So I just bought a property in Logan to use as an Airbnb. We're up there all the time for Aggie games. Go Aggies. And but short-term rentals are allowed. The reason I love this is because you only need 10% down, and the rate is like a primary purchase. So this is huge leverage and a great way to turn a little bit of money into a giant amount of money.
Question on that.
Yeah.
Is there a requirement for minimum number of days stayed at that vacation home for it to qualify?
Not anymore.
Just intent to use it?
Mhm.
Nice.
And you can't, there's some other stuff. This is me being, certain guidelines are met. That's me being kosher. But I can talk more about that. It's not so bad. And then people, so like people in the valley are like, you can't buy in Park City as a second home because it's not 50 miles away or 100 miles. There's no miles requirement. Has to make sense. So people in Cali will be 2-3 miles away from the ocean, and they'll buy an oceanfront as a second home. So your lender should know their guidelines. So 3 types of investment properties. So residential, this is where you're going to live. Multifamily, which I think Utah sucks at, to be honest. This is where you've got like duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and most investment classes are like buy duplex, buy triplex. And I like the idea in theory, but Utah doesn't really make these anymore. So they tend to be older. They tend to have asbestos, roof repair, old water, like you got to go into that. If I put a brand new baby home buyer into a duplex, I'd be nervous because that could potentially end up as a big issue. So I don't love that, but it's an option. And then commercial. I don't do anything with commercial. They tried for a minute to get me to learn it. I don't want to learn it. So I talked briefly about leverage, and this is why. So houses are the coolest investment ever because you're essentially taking your down payment. So let's call it $10,000, and you're turning it into something worth $400,000. And then that $400,000 is growing anywhere from 4 to 18% last year, each year. So it's really cool to put money in stocks and crypto and things like that. But that investment is so limited because you put 10,000 in, 10,000 is what grows. Homes are the only thing that's going to get you to, you know, that millionaire status where your net worth grows up $180,000 a year. So if you're looking at whether I should buy as an investor or owner occupied, there's a huge reason that I'm like, just move, just buy so if you're a first time home buyer or you only own one home and you meet criteria for income, you only need 3% down. It's a home ready program. It's my favorite loan. Having a little skin in the game is better. So if you can do a little down payment, it is better. But let's look at this house. It's $400,000. You're going to put 3% down. All in after all the things, 18 grand, okay? That home at just 4%, which is the standard across the United States year over year, not counting 2020, you paid down about 8 grand. It went up about 16 grand. So you made $25,000 extra in addition to savings and what you work for. Your cash on cash return is 133%. Your leverage is massive. So you turned $18,000 into $424 in 1 year. Nice work. And then when you're doing a true investment purchase, there, I didn't even touch really on like the payment difference and things because they're pretty drastic, but look at your cash on cash return. It's still there. Like you still got some good rental income. You still have some equity growth, and it's still a good solution, but this one's better. Primary purchase was way better. So if people are already in a home, I don't want everyone to just jump to sell it, because my biggest mistake I ever made was I sold my first 2 properties. I actually looked up my West Valley single family home the other day and I died inside.
Don't look back.
So it had a separate entrance in the basement. I could have split it and it's worth so much more than what I paid. And I'm like, well, I didn't know what I know now, so that sucks. And there are ways to access the equity for a new property that don't involve selling. So this we're just going to touch on really quick. So investment properties don't just make money by rent. You're paying down a debt. And so it's like forced savings. So if people are like big spenders, put it in a house. So then you can't spend it and you're paying something down that's going up in value, and that's your equity growth. So the home's becoming valued higher and higher and higher. And that's straight profit to you. That's your money. And especially when you tap into it and actually make it work for you. And then depreciation, this has been the best thing ever. My husband is a business owner, and the amount that we can depreciate has helped our taxes tremendously. So love that. Okay. So looking into investment properties, again, market is changing so much, right? So I actively invest in Texas, Utah, and I'm looking in North Carolina right now. They're so different, it's not even funny. North Carolina is the best for like duplexes, triplexes, multifamily, super cheap, make money go really far. Texas is best single family and a little, I'm doing standard purchases, but the money's there. And then Utah, you're not moving, it's kind of hard to make it cash flow here. The prices have gone up like crazy. The one that I can say that still works like a charm, and my favorite, is homes with mother-in-law apartments. They're the best to live in, to like rent out later. It's kind of not fully legal yet, but it's moving in that way. So this is more so just going over like, what's it going to do? What I can say to this slide is just have people that have done this in your back pocket to explain if the house is a good house, and trust your real estate agent. So my real estate agents in all markets are the reason that I've succeeded. It's all who you know, pocket listings and getting stuff when it first hits the market and knowing exactly what you're looking for, instead of just knowing all of this. And you get the knowledge as you go. Then if you own an investment property, you don't have to pay taxes when you sell it, but don't sell it. But if you were to sell it, make sure you're moving it into another one, because you can do this 1031 exchange. So let's say that one of my South Jordan houses worth like $1 million. I want it because I'm going to go invest in 10 other properties. All I have to do is have those identified, and then that money goes to Mindy, or that's what I use for title, monument title. Whoop. But it's going to go to her. She's going to hold on to it, and it's going to distribute to these new homes to purchase them, and I don't pay taxes on the gain. And then I don't pay, and I don't pay, and I don't pay, and then I die. I'm like, congratulations, Harper. That's my daughter. Tax-free. She's good to go. Okay, this is what I wanted. So how do you get these dang things? So if you already own a home, you have equity in it, go put a HELOC on that sucker. HELOC is home equity line of credit. Think of it like a giant line of credit, a giant credit card, but attached to your home. They're all fighting over these right now. When I say they, I mean banks. So interest rates are stupid low. My favorite's Mountain America, and it's 1.99 for 6 months, and then like 3 to 5, 6, depending on your credit. We don't really care about that though. What I want is access to the equity that you have in an existing property, because without that, your equity is just bragging rights and you get a big gold star, but it's doing jack squat for you. So my home I bought in July of 2020, just did a HELOC on it for 140 grand. And I was like, house 1, 2, 3, done. And the investments are paying that HELOC and the mortgage. So thank you, renters, for also paying my down payment. Pretty freaking sweet, right? That's if you have a house, if you already have a house. If you don't, yes, saving up a little bit of money is great. Plan 3%. 3% is fabulous if you've never bought a home. It's a little bit of skin in the game. You're going to get a better lock, a better rate, a better home. And there's a potential that you won't have to touch that mortgage again. But these grants, you guys, they're so good. They're so good. So there's now, I know of 3 that are $20,000 and $22,000 that are fully forgiven after 5 years. You never have to pay it back. and we can use it however we want. So like this sweet little old couple has no retirement. They have rented forever and they just told they're getting kicked out. They've lived there for 7 years. They're used to $1,200 a month and they want space, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and they want it to be around $1,300 a month all in. If you know this market, that doesn't exist. So they come to me because I've got a basement rental coming up and they're like, we are interested in it. I'm like, why don't you buy? And they needed a little help on their credit. So I whipped their credit into shape. We consolidated some stuff, got their credit up like 100 points, got them pre-approved for this grant. Dude, they're under contract. They're going to go buy a house with the mother-in-law apartment. So they are going to live upstairs. They don't have to be in a basement where the husband has a bad hip. I know my clients well. I love my people. And they're close to family and the property hit and they were ready to go. And they are putting in $1,500 of their own money, which is less than what I charge for the deposit on the basement. So, and then with that grant, we covered down payment, I covered closing costs, and I was able to get rid of their mortgage insurance, just buy it out completely with other people's money, which is the best way to go about it. And then they just live there. So their part that they pay is $800. So now they're good. They can live off Social Security, right? So I love that. Getting into property number 1 is the scariest one. Like, gird your loins, be brave, and freaking do it. And trust the people around you, but get a house. I have had so many people, don't tell anybody, like, don't tell people your plan, just go do it, because people think the sky is falling and the market's going to collapse and that you're an idiot. And it's like, no, if you need a place to live, stop paying rent, stop paying somebody else's money, get your ducks in a row, talk to somebody like me who's going to do a full analysis of your entire life and give you a game plan, but go buy a property because they grow. Even in 08, my sweet mama bear bought in 08, had no freaking clue, she's a teacher, and upside down, 160 grand within a year. And I love that story because she had no flipping clue. She had a fixed payment that she could afford. She wasn't house poor. She's a teacher with a job. She just made her little payment, happiness and sunshine. That sucker has 400 grand of equity, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage in South Jordan. She pays $780 for. Like, it just happens with time. And I'm seeing that now that I've done this. My first real house, I'll say it was like 22 with hubby, because my condo one, my dad kind of did it. So I don't know, 11 years. Now it's really started to snowball and I'm like, should have bought more. Like, that's my regret. And so buy that first one, be brave. My sister, I scared the pants off of her when she was 22, because I came at her like a wrecking ball. I was like, this property in this location with this bathroom count and this bedroom count. And she's a baby. And she's like, that's all my money. And I'm like, yep, we're putting it into the bank called a house. Just be brave. And then something else I really want to touch on that I see a lot of people struggle with is like keeping up with the Joneses too young. Like, when you're young, don't worry about anything else except for saving that money to put somewhere else, because then it becomes really fun on this side of it. When other people are paying your car payment and your gas and vacations, and it's not super hard. Like, I don't have a billion properties like these two, but I'm comfortable. And it took a minute, but if you can move every 2 years and do that math, like, that's a lot of houses. And then I would say 3. So I would buy a townhome, and then I'd buy a house with a mother-in-law apartment. And then I'd buy the house that I want to live in. And then I'd start investing. Second home and then investing. That is the perfect formula, because at some point, like, you don't want to move anymore. I moved 11 times in my life. But I suppose also pick your heart. But if I could go back, I just wouldn't sell those first properties to get money out. And I would have started earlier and stronger and just been more brave. So when people come to me and like, what do I do? I'm like, be brave. So this I did with another real estate agent, and she says that she always has hers in LLC. I personally don't. I just have a giant umbrella policy, which is just an insurance policy that covers above and beyond the homeowner's insurance for issues. And that sucker's like $3 million for like $500-600 a year. And it covers me nationwide. So I'm like all day long. So there's different strategies even within small investors. Like, and again, I've just learned it through the years and through doing taxes and buying these properties. And it's not as hard as you think if you have someone that's done it. So like if someone had looked at me when I was 19 and they're like, you're gonna go buy a condo, then a townhome, then a house with a mother-in-law, and then a regular house, and then you're gonna buy a second home, like that would have been so much easier for me to bite off and chew than just like, I have a house, I have money in it, like now what? And
Mentors.
what?
Mentors.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting, but it's more just like how to still get this. I don't love it though. This is just good for like real estate agents to know in general. So I've been doing a lot of delayed financing transactions this year, where like a mom, dad, or somebody will come in and they'll buy the house in cash. And then I have 6 months to refinance it into the owner's names. So cash is king, right? Most of the time cash offers win unless you have a really good real estate agent. But this is kind of a cool situation. I more so use this for when I want to close a deal now, because I have access to 2 HELOCs and like the money that these homes are making. I'd say this is more like home 3, 4, when you can start doing this, because you'll have access to enough cash to be like, I'll give you 300 grand in a week. And they're like, you sold. Okay, so I have to put this in there because it's my favorite. And I was like, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot. So can you have a home with an apartment and turn it into a top and bottom rental unit? State of Utah says nay, nay. But also this is changing because of the lack of housing. So technically to rent out your basement, you need to be the owner upstairs, but this is changing. And I know people that do this. So you need to know your neighbors, you need to make sure your tenants are super well screened and that they get along, and there's a lot of safety between the two. But my mother-in-law houses, two of them, they make me the most money by far. And then when I was living in one of them, that was amazing. Like when I moved into this house and I had to pay the whole mortgage, I'm like, well, that freaking sucked. Can I rent out a room? Because my renter pays more than my part. So the house is now valued at 750 grand. And I lived there for $820-ish a month. So I was able to like stack money and be like, and again, and again, and again. And when my house that came on the market came up, we were done, we were ready. And I moved during like the craziest month of my entire career. My processor's moving her mom to Texas and driving across the country. And I'm like, let's buy a house. This is a logical solution. And that's what I mean, like, be brave. When they happen, just be like, it's going to work out. It's going to be fine. I've done my research. I've done my due diligence. I trust my people. Jump in. And, and then if the property is a legal duplex, then it doesn't matter. But this is the house hacking. So if you want to like screenshot this of like what to do here, but just calling out here. Okay, look at this. By the time these suckers are paid off, you turned it into over $5 million. And your rent based on growth, 15 grand a month, probably more. And your initial investment was 60 grand. About 80 once you had closing costs. Like this is what I mean. And this isn't even that many. This is 1, 2, 3, this is 4. It's 4 houses. And I think people get caught up in like, you need 100 billion houses. Margins. But I love that. That's my next step, is to learn from mentors like that on how to, because I do want to go further. But like regular people, or like people who are like, I don't necessarily want to be a landlord. I don't want this huge empire. 5 properties is not crazy. Hiring a property manager and paying them their money. Pick your heart. Like there are days that I'm like, this freaking Texas house has one more thing. I'm burning it to the ground. But for the most part, you do the initial investment and then you kind of sit. And these are longer term investments, plan to hold for at least 7 years. I'm never selling. Because at some point, I've got to make a huge decision on, do I just hold these forever and collect the rent and live off that? Or do I wait and at a certain point say, I don't want to deal with anything house anymore and just go, and then live off of the 5 million. It's just not that much. Most people don't have any savings. They're not putting any money aside. I'm seeing it more and more and more because I do the pre-approvals and I'm like, hey, do we have a retirement account you can pull from? And they're like, no. And I'm like, how do you not have anything? You are 40. Like we gotta, And then houses, I immediately come into houses because nowhere else can you turn 3% into 300 grand. Like, that's amazing. And 5 properties, you're set. You're set. I used to think like as soon as I replace $3,000 a month, I'll be there, and then 5. And so I've like totally caught the bug. And I will have a good trillion houses where I replace all of our income, but I could just be done. Just ride. Just like, see in 10 years, we'll be good at that point. And I want that to come through on this class so much. I touch on this a little bit with the duplexes in Utah. I totally started there because everyone was like, that's what you got to do. Like, get as many doors and live in one side. And they all kind of scared me. And they needed work and they weren't in places I wanted to be. I wanted to live in South Jordan. They don't have those there. So I just ended up buying a townhome. And I love that because it was an easy transition to be the landlord of that, because the HOA is going to babysit and make sure that the house doesn't go in disarray. And then I hired a property manager and sat in and watched what they did. But I was like, holy crap, background checks, credit checks, job checking, referral, like even the paperwork. I'm like, where'd you find that? And so I love property managers. I'm busy right now and I have a 3-year-old. That says enough in and of itself. So I prefer this, but you can totally do it yourself. Just talk to someone first, maybe not that first one. And then newer properties are going to have less maintenance. So people are like, don't you want to buy old and ugly? And I'm like, yeah, because there's a strategy that like you can go in and renovate and refinance it, get the money out and do it again. I don't love the BRRRR strategy as much. I kind of like plug and play. In the homes that I purchased and rented in this market now, and it's been nicer just to have it a little bit more ready. If it needs paint, heck yeah, love those. But I don't want to take on something that's a hop, skip, and a jump away from a new roof or has a really old water heater or something. Plus, if I went back to 19-year-old me and I had to live there, I'd want to live somewhere safe and cute. So there you go. There is investing 101. To recap, because that was a lot and I like busted it out way fast. Oh, I did break it on time too. So buy a property. I have crypto, gold, houses, cash. Like, I definitely am well-versed. My dad graduated #1 in accounting from the University of Utah. He's very financially savvy. He had me reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was like 6. So like leg up there, thanks Pops. But of all of them, 1,000,000%, I'm bummed that I have like life insurance. Because I'm like, I could just buy a house. Like the houses have appreciated the most. They've been the easiest. And again, pick your heart. It's not super walk in the park, but pick your heart. The most ability for leverage, and then knowing the financing options, and it's so much better. And then I'm jealous of all of those who are just starting out, because I'm like, you just get the knowledge, you get to see others' mistakes and then be like, don't do that. Just don't do that. And the areas that work. And I am passionate about this now because I've seen what it's been able to do for my family, like to not stress about money and to just know like everything's going to be okay. And I can help my other family members. Like, it's been massive. And then to help my clients do this too, and know without a shadow of a doubt, they're good. Like, I've analyzed enough loans to be like, maybe not this one, or like, go. And if you don't, I will. So it's the partnerships and the people that you know, but then just being brave and saving the money and not having the nicest of nice when you're young, because don't worry, money's coming later and then somebody else can pay for you to have nice things. And you just get to chill and just have like a great life. So that would be my tidbit, is rewind in time, don't sell, be brave, and just jump in with both feet. That was a lot. What questions do you guys have?
You guys can unmute yourself on Zoom too. Any questions?
About the grants, what kind of things go into qualifying for those?
All 3 of them are a little different, but mostly they're trying, so they need to be first-time home buyers. And that just means you haven't owned in 3 years. And then area median income's huge on these. They're trying to help low to mid income, but they're pretty like solid. So The hardest one is the 80% area median income, which is about $73,200 a year household income. And that works pretty well. Like, and then there's some strategies like, if you're dating someone but not married, hurry and go, boom, boom. And then come together, because they do look at household income, but then like the Salt Lake one, they want people to move to Salt Lake. Now they're targeting like Rose Park, right? But Salt Lake zip code qualifies for it. So there's like scattered up here in Sugar House and downtown and things like that. And they can make bank. It's 120% of the area median income. It's over 100 grand and they still qualify for this free money. So that, and then they don't want you to have a crap load of your own money, right? But there's ways around that too. So, and then if the loan is sold in 5 years, you pay them back. So usually you pay back what you owe. So of the 5 years, every year that you complete, 20% is forgiven. So at year 5, it's gone. And there's no extra fees or anything like that. I think they charge like a $500 admin that they just take out of it. So it's truly my favorite grant. We can buy down the rate, we can buy the mortgage insurance, and I try and do like a one and done loan in that so that it's just good. And then I don't even care. So one of my people have used it and they've only been in there 2 years. And I'm like, we're going to go ahead and, so we refinanced it and paid them back as a primary still. And then this summer they're going to go for round 2 just because the equity was there and like use it.
Got a comment.
No, but I do know that there are grants. So like Missouri, I saw read that as Mississippi, sorry. I don't know if that, I have this big spreadsheet of all my grants and my contacts and stuff because I love other people's money and like leveraging that. So I will look at that though. I don't know any off the top of my head in Missouri, but I will. Lift, L-I-F-T, but not all lenders can do it. Actually, a super select you can. So like Veritas is cleared for it. I think Guild is cleared for it. And then on top of that, people don't know what you, like if you go to another lender and you're like, I want to use Lyft, they're going to be like, what's this?
Did you have a contact slide on there? I just stopped the sharing, but did you have your contact information on that slide?
I think so. In the next
Let
one.
me grab that. So Tara, just reach out to her. I'm going to open the slides back up. I think she has a contact slide on there.
Scroll one more.
There you go. Screenshot that, reach out to Ashley. She'll look into Missouri for you.
Ooh, this is going to be a good question. This is what I love. Okay, would you put money into a basement to turn it into a mother-in-law or buy an investment? We could put a small studio in-law in our current home. How are you doing that for 15 to 18 grand? That's magic. So first question is, do you like the house in Riverton that you're in? AKA, are you going to be there for at least the next 1 to 2 years? If you want to move, that's going to dictate a different answer. If you love your house, 1,000,000%, I'd put it into that in-law suite for the reason of you're going to cut down your expenses. You're going to turn this home into an asset instead of you just paying it out every month. And then you're going to increase your amount that you can save, but you're going to increase the value of that overall home drastically to where you could then go do a home equity line of credit and just that money right back out and then go buy it. So the answer is both, but first the basement and then in a year, the investment house. And I want your basement. I really miss paying half my mortgage. That's the stuff. So, and if you have a basement entrance or anything like that, that's also super nice. Those suckers are expensive. I put that in my last house and I almost died. Very dramatic, right?
So how many of you on this call already own investment property? You type it in the chat, or if you're somewhere where you can put your video on, raise your hand. Who has?
Yvonne's about to. I know
Yvonne
that.
already, awesome. Yvonne, yes, she's excited. Woo.
David's about to.
Go Ashlee. So one of the best things about getting started, if that's you, is strategizing with somebody like this. Here's my plans. Let's set some goals, because time's going to go by no matter what. And you're going to look back like we all do, and say, I wish I would have done more. So start today, forget the past, forget the regrets, forget what you should have done, because today forward's all that matters anyway. So strategize with somebody like Ashlee and put
there's
together
cool
a game plan.
stuff. Yeah, and there's
Right.
cool stuff. Do you regret any of the homes you bought? Are you bummed that you bought houses?
No, I'm only regretful like you,
I
the
thought
ones I
you were gonna
sold.
say, are you bummed about the ones you sold?
Yeah,
Every
everyone.
one.
So, well,
Well,
except for, I'll take that back. We were doing higher volume. So some of the ones that we sold gave us more capital so we could hold. So the flips were simply to create more capital. to
And those are
hold.
hard as crap to find right now.
Yeah.
So the buy and hold's a little bit
Margins
of an
are
easier
tight,
strategy,
tight.
yeah. Yay for construction being expensive. My stepfather-in-law owns a construction company, and so I get it from him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But
Okay, well, Mindy's not here. Is she coming? I wanted to introduce her.
It's only 11:40. She's probably planning on being here.
oh, I thought I had 40 minutes. I keep asking. Go Sydney.
Well, if we have more time and someone's not talking, I think the grant, like for our newer agents that want to get advertising out there, to want to get new clients, that's a really good.
And this is amazing
Yeah.
for first-time home buyers, because everyone and their dog thinks you need 20% down still. I don't know why that hasn't been disbanded. Like, stop telling people that. That's a terrible idea. The least amount of money out of pocket to get into the house, because if you put more into the property, that doesn't make the house worth more. So if you put 20% down, you don't now have a more expensive house. Does that make sense? You're better to put 3 or 5 and then go buy another one. So this grant, I use a couple different things. So Veritas will use Eagle Connect, which is a grant that works, and I'm pretty sure that's nationwide. So like Missouri could do that. Chenoa, same type of thing. I don't love those two though, because they have some hefty fees. So typically you want to get like a seller credit, which is like finding a needle in a haystack in this market. So I don't love. I think there's better, but it definitely does something. And then I'll use Utah Housing a lot. Like so much so that the Utah Housing people sent me a Christmas gift this year. They're like, thank you. But again, other people's money. That one I like because they do charge the fees, but then they have a larger second mortgage that offsets it, and you can refinance out of it after 6 months once it makes sense. So you're not like stuck, where these two are like 3 years before you pay back. So I love that one. But my cream of the crop, my bomb that I do a lot of, like 2 a month, is Lyft. So Murray and Salt Lake have bigger income guidelines, and it just needs to be in the actual zip code. So like if you look it up on county, it needs to say that they pay taxes to Murray City, not or Salt Lake City, not South Salt Lake, not Cottonwood. Like it has to say that. So when I have people that are looking, I have them start earlier with Lyft and get it going, and then they'll send properties that are like, this is in Salt Lake, and I'm like, false, that is South Salt Lake. So it does go like this to the houses, but we find them. It just takes a little bit longer. And then this new one, I don't even know what it's called. It's in my email, but I don't know because it's that new. I learned about it like 2 days ago at noon. And I've been doing all kinds of research into it, but that one is by far my favorite, because if you qualify for the Home Ready conventional loan, which is my favorite, with 3% down, that essentially turns the 3% into 10 as far as rate, mortgage insurance, yada, yada. Then you qualify for that grant. So you might as well use it. And then the fact that it can go anywhere in Salt Lake County, like that's my bread and butter. That's where I do the bulk of my business. And then Utah County, and then sprinkle Davis County, now Cache County.
That's the $22,000 one you're talking about.
So the 22 is Salt Lake County. Salt Lake County, the Chenoa, the Eagle Connect, the Utah, those can go everywhere. But like Ogden has a grant. Use that one. And Davis County in general, Weber County has one. Like I've spent hours upon hours upon hours researching grants and guidelines and making sure, and then like elbowing in with the people who run it to be like, you like me, right? Pop my files to the top and help me help you. So all of those things should, like, money should never be the barrier. No, even if you have to use a Chenoa or something like that, where it's a little bit more expensive to get in the house. Like, get in the house, get in there.
Can I ask you a question about the grant? So
Yeah.
I've done a few back, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, and it was only like a $5,000 one. So let's say we want to put in an offer with a grant like this. Do we show this as the down payment?
Mhm.
Okay, so we show that. So if our people have like hardly anything, this shows that they're a lot stronger. So we'll show that with the,
Appraisal gap is beautiful with these.
okay, so appraisal gap can
It
be
can be used
used.
for anything. she said.
Anything.
So if I have someone that's qualified for like $260,000 right now, they don't have the grant. That's gonna push us up to a higher range when they might be able to actually now be able to afford.
Remember my
something.
sweet little old couple?
Mhm.
They were told 300 grand. Guess what I just have
I'm
pre-approval
so
of?
stoked about that.
480.
I'm already think of families that'll help that are. we just
480,
find-
300 to 480. That's how much their buying power changed for it when I got to them. I redid their car loan, I consolidated their credit card debt, increased their credit a gajillion points, and then I qualified them for this crap. And they're thrilled because their overall payments went down like $300.
Mhm.
But they're like, we have $3,000. I'm like, I'll need 1,500. That's it.
Well,
So use this. And I think they're gonna run out of money real fast because my big old mouth is like, that's the best grant I've ever seen.
Well, I'm asking the question is specifically so that everybody can be thinking of the scenarios of people that they might be working
And
with.
people
that-
who are close. So like a lot, I have a chiropractor and he makes bank, but his taxes look like crap. So he qualifies for this. And he has saved money and he has this down, but he doesn't have his closing costs. So I was gonna increase the rate to cover that. And we're like, just kidding. So he's using this as an appraisal gap.
Was
and
there
closing
income
costs.
limits on this one?
Yes.
Yeah. What was it?
But they're not awful. So if you look up like Fannie Mae area median AMI, it's gonna pull up a thing that you can test. But across the state or across the county of Salt Lake, it's like 73,200 is for the newest grant, that's the limit. Some places don't have one. So like some pockets, they really want
Is that
people to
household?
move there. It's household not qualifying. You were still smart. And then the lift is 120%, so that's like over 100 grand. It's pretty, I think it's reasonable. So like the West Jordan grant, I'm like, oh, what a great grant, let's use it. And I'm like, got it, you have to be poverty stricken. Because I think the limit's like $36,000 for like one person and like 46 for two. And I'm like,
So credit scores, what?
no matter if I qualify them, they're good. Loan program doesn't matter if I qualify them, they're good.
Okay, so let's ask a question now. With this grant, it's 5 years, 20% reduction every year, forgiven in 5 years. If they haven't sold the property, can they move out?
Yeah, so I already been doing that.
That
So,
could be a first rental.
100%. And they mostly pay attention to it selling. So you're actually better, if you just convert and go get another one and like HELOC out of it. Now, if they come down, they're like, you gotta pay us back. You'll have enough equity. Well, primary lender, I'm gonna like have that in my back pocket as a just in case I've got your back, but nothing's happened like that. They don't.
As long as the loan's still in place and being paid on.
Mhm.
Cool.
And so like this person that we redid their loan because I did lock them high, covered closing costs, blah, 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 blah. And we got them money just in case they needed to pay that back, but then we HELOC'd the rest because HELOCs go to 90. I can only go to 80. This is why I prefer HELOC over cash out too.
Mhm.
And like get your bulk of your money as cheap as possible. And then your HELOC money is the kind that can do this. And it doesn't matter how expensive it is as long as it makes sense. So they're like hardcore looking. Baby sisters doing the same thing.
Cool.
So if you don't own any, I would totally use a grant and move in and get something started like yesterday. And if you already own one, go put a HELOC on it and be ready for the deal to hit.
Love it.
And my favorite rentals are mother-in-laws because it's kind of like the Utah duplex. It's not everywhere has basements. So separate entrance, I always look for that. And then if there's water down there, I'm like, the kitchen. Yeah, yeah. Because that's, and the craziest thing, so I just talked to someone yesterday about it and they're like, well, let me just buy a smaller house. I don't want a mother-in-law. Let me just buy a smaller house. I want to spend $2,000 a month. So I'm like, we can do $500,000 and it's 2,400. And if you do your 300, it's like 1,890. And this one comes with $1,000 deduction minimum for rent. And this one you cover the whole thing. So do you want to cover the whole thing of like $1,900 or do you want to cover the house? And qualify for more house. Again, leverage. You have $500,000, not 300 grand. My mom bought this new one. I was like, Mom, you're a millionaire. How does it feel? And she's like, I'm a what? She's like, yeah. You own $1 million worth of real estate. And she was like, I am so cool.
I am so cool.
I hope this helps. I just, I think all of the stuff that's out there right now for investing is more like nationwide and not as niche into like Utah market or like our surrounding like areas. And then there are always big dogs who are like, buy everything, put 20% down, buy all the doors. And I'm like, we're just buying until you're good. Like, what's your exit strategy? What's your game plan? Because like some people want to place $2,000 in income. Some people want to do 10. Like goals are different. And I think that smaller trainings like this with people who have done it are a little bit more useful.
Well, I think the house hacking thing was a good thing because at minimum, people should be doing that. They don't really even consider themselves investors, right? You can buy a house, turn it into a rental, network and associate with people that can help you and answer your questions and help you with that new landlord position or hire it out. But doing that every couple of years is very, very sustainable because you got to do the first one before you're worried about number 3, right? Do the first one and then the second one seems a lot easier. So
and the first one will scare the pants off you, but it's worth it.
yeah. So guys, unmute yourself if you have any questions. We're gonna have Lynn come up and introduce our sponsor. Mindy is here, and Mindy and Ashley work tightly together in the lending and the title world. So Lynn, come on up and.
Thanks,
Let's
Jesse.
see if there's some questions.
Thanks, Miss Yvonne.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm just wondering if you have any materials or anything that we could share on the grant. So if
I
someone-
take it. So do you want this? So Veritas has a super crazy intense marketing team, it's the bomb. So I can list with you on it and have it done for free and get you a digital copy and something you can mail out and it won't cost you a dang thing and you can blast it.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
I'll send you an email.
that's probably better. The Ashleys together. Let's go confuse the crap out of clients.
Yeah.
I'll be like, is this from EY or EE?
I would call you Ashley.
Well, and there's an Ashley S in here too. And I'm like, ha, it just spells it right. Go Ashley Strong, whoever you are.
She's amazing. You all are blonde too, yeah. Oh, look alike.
Yeah, this one is my house and my daughter was like, I'm gonna miss mom. So they're watching.
Oh, that's.
Oh, God.
Ask their questions, okay, sweet. Hi, everybody. We always talk about having a great team, and a great team consists of a great lender, great title, and obviously a really great agent. Doesn't matter if you're investing or you're a real estate agent. Mindy has won my heart because she is an amazing, she's amazing at title. Mindy Blackburn with Monument. She has brought lunch for us here, but she also likes and loves what she does with title. There are so many things that come up that are really, really important where you need a good title person, because if you don't have a good title person, let's say someone passes away in the middle of a listing. I had that happen this year. I was really worried about that. And I reached out. I remember originally when it happened, this was a client that had used another title company back before I found Mindy. So we originally reached out to them because that's who they were used to using, and they were slow. They did not get back to me. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I actually pulled it over and I said, hey, are you okay? I've got a new title person you haven't used before. Are you okay with me asking her some questions? Well, she won the deal. I mean, she was right on it. She knew exactly what to do. And it was just streamlined so nicely. That's what you want. I mean, you just don't know how important title is until you really, really have an issue happening. So anyway, I'd like to introduce Mindy. Our team absolutely loves her, and she's fantastic.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what to say after that introduction.
We're done.
I don't stand by. Merry Christmas.
So I'm Mindy with Monument Title, and I love the merchant team. Of course, they're amazing and they're good to me, and I enjoy them very much. Thank you for having me. It's always fun to be here.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to touch on remote online notaries. I don't know if any of you have had experience with that as of yet. Right now, most lenders are not accepting an electronic notary signature for their documents, but if you have a cash buyer or a seller, we can accommodate remote online notaries. So if they're an older couple and they're like, I'm not comfortable leaving my home because of COVID or the weather like today, we can absolutely accommodate that. So as long as they have a smartphone, a laptop, a Mac, or a computer, we absolutely can set that up for them. They just need a Zoom account, and I walk them through all of it. It's pretty user friendly, and they don't necessarily have to know how to use all of the features on the computer or the Zoom, because I can help them. but it's good if they're a little bit familiar with it. There's some questions, let me know. And really, that's all I wanted to talk about today, because I thought the weather would be a little scary and everybody would be like, let's hurry and go home. But if you guys have questions
Well,
about
a lot of them
title,
didn't even come. So.
I know. Double sandwiches for everybody here today.
Yeah.
If you guys have questions about title in general, what we do, what escrow does, ask me. I'm happy to help.
I love that I never even know I have an issue on file. I just get clean title back no matter what I hand at you. We give to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We do try to just, if it's stuff we can take care of on the back end, I just tell you, we're just taking care of it. Don't worry about it. If it's something big, like somebody's passed away, then I definitely call the agent or I call the loan officer and I'm like, this is the problem. This is what I'm doing about it, or this is where I need help, or I need to get in touch with your seller. I need to get in touch with your buyer. We definitely communicate, but we try to just send you guys a clean PR and be like, here you go. You're ready. Tell me when you want to come inside.
Or like, I'll get, hey, we're gonna be a day or two behind. I'm clearing this.
Oh my gosh, this year has been awful. Ashley does all my transaction coordinating, this Ashley up here. And we got the PR and the day we were supposed to, like the day before we were supposed to close, right, Ash? Like it's, like she could tell you how different it is working with Mindy's team versus others, and how our struggles are and how important it is that you guys select a really good title company, because it sure frustrates the other agent and their team on the other side.
There's enough energy in a transaction that we don't want to add any hiccups to that. So we definitely want to make sure it's as smooth as possible for everybody. And ultimately, you want to make sure that the buyer and the seller get to the closing table and they're happy. And we want to make sure that that's a good experience. So if we can help you guys be like, yes, this is the best agent in the entire world. Look how amazing they are. They got you here early and they have no idea all the crazy that went on behind the scenes. That's our goal.
Protect them from the crazy.
Yes.
Hey guys, Ashley's slide is up there, so shoot her an email if you want Mindy's contact information, because I don't have a slide for her, so that'd be a great connect right there.
Yep. I need to get you a slide.
I know.
If you work with me, you work with Mindy.
Yeah. So, yeah, they've been awesome. Communication is really important in a transaction too, and you never want to wonder where things are at, and you won't get that with Monument and Mindy.
No, definitely communication is
No
big
babysitter
for sure.
either.
Yeah, we're all adults. We don't need to be.
Oh, and let me mention that if you're with EXP Realty, we get paid straight after closing, and Mindy's group gets me a check super fast.
Yes.
I love it.
We love to get them dispersed and delivered.
Yeah.
If you guys are working with a title company that you love, but you want a second opinion, call me. Doesn't mean you have to send a deal to me or use me, especially if you've got a team that's working. But if you need a second opinion, sometimes it's good to get a different point of view if it's something that you're like, is that quite right? Or do we have any other options? Sometimes it just takes another set of eyes to be like, you know what, I've seen this. This is how we handled it. Yeah. Sweet.
Cool, cool. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
That was awesome. All right, peoples.
You're the best.
Thanks for tuning in. I did record this, so reach out to me if you want a copy of that or the slides. I can email you her PDFs so you can have those to refer to. Be happy to do that. So actually, well, you should all have my contact information, but let me put my email.
Well, she was naked on this, so.
You know.
She's been like super attached lately, like, I'm gonna miss mommy. I'm like,
That was awesome that she gets to watch you.
she knows what I do. She totally gets it. I'm like, what does mommy do? She says mortgages. I said, how many? She says, so many.
Sweet.
We're gonna fight over whose assistant she's gonna be when she's big enough.
Yeah.
She might grow up and be like, but I highly doubt it. She doesn't even know. I've started to put money in the account for her. Here we go. Here we go.
Perfect. Okay, guys, reach out if we can help you with anything. I'm gonna sign Zoom off.